Size 12 Bruno Magli shoe prints found at the crime scene. What size shoes do you wear, OJ? Well, coincidence?
Well, if you go into my closet, you'll see from 10.5 to 13s. They focused on 12s.
It's coincidence. I understand.
Well, it's a coincidence, but let me ask you this. Let me ask the public this. The FBI did an exhaustive search about Bruno Magli shoes. They said it was a rare shoe. They went to every outlet that sold Bruno Magli shoes. Not one person said they ever sold me these Bruno Magli shoes. Now, they say this is a very, the most exhaustive investigation of all time, right? No, I was the most exhaustively investigated person of all time. The case wasn't who bought Bruno Magli shoes. Did the FBI tell us who in L.A. might have purchased Bruno Magli shoes? If they did, we don't know about that.
Did you ever have any?
First of all, I would have never worn those ugly shoes, you know. I can't tell you the name of the shoes I have on now. I think with most men, unless they're tennis shoes, you know, Nike, you know, some make of a tennis shoe, you know the name of your tennis shoe. I can't tell you the name of any. I may have upwards of 40 pairs of shoes upstairs. I couldn't tell you the name of the shoes.
So you don't know if you ever owned a pair of those shoes?
I don't know. I've never walked into a shoe store and asked for a named pair of shoes ever in my life.
All right, I'll go first on this one. I don't think anybody has shoe sizes from 10.5 to 13 in their closet, unless there's other people living there and using your closet too. So that's right, but I don't think there was anybody else living there. That's crazy talk. How could you look somebody in the face and say, oh man, I've got shoes size from 10.5 to 13. In my closet, I have shoes that are size 10.5. That's it, because that's the size I wear. Whether it's dress shoes, whether it's whatever I'm wearing, that's what they are. They're 10.5s. He knows it's not pronounced Bruno Magli. It's not pronounced that way. And in the circles he ran in, somebody would have said, "Dude, don't say Magli. It's Bruno Magli." So somebody would have hipped him to that. Somebody would have said, "Hey man, don't be saying that." And they'd have been making fun of him. You know, OJ, what? Tell me about those shoes. What are those? Who makes those? Bruno Magli. Check that. So somebody would have corrected him on that. He knows better than that. That we're seeing perception management all over the place here, including that word Magli when he says that, because he wants you to think he's so far removed from having any of those, he's not even pronouncing it right. That's why he's saying it wrong so many times, in my opinion. What else have I got here? Too many details. Going way too into the details without answering the question. Again, this is the second time he's been asked a question that he just totally does not go in for the answer. No, I don't. No, I didn't. No, never says that. Never says that at all. Chase, what do you got?
All right. We've got more issue here with discomfort with inaccuracy. And we talk about this a lot on our channel. So the person's not comfortable with something being inaccurate or not knowing. It doesn't need any more than I'm not sure or I don't know. If that's the answer, then that discomfort is something you should see on people. So right when he says, do you have any, there is a non-answer. There is a spike in humor that deviates from baseline where he's talking about how ugly the shoes are. There's a TDS, which is when your eyes move all over the place. A transderivational search to a known question. So TDS is great when you're trying to recall information, but if I ask you something that you know because you've just had spent a year in trial with it, that should not require a TDS. There's redirection right away when he says, first of all, and there's socializing the situation. So this is a result of training, which I'm going to talk about, I think in the next video. I'm going to really break this down. When he's saying most men, and he makes it about that. And then when he finally says, I don't know, it's casual, it's unrushed, it's dismissive, and I think it's also very rehearsed. It's polished. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, so let's take the first one. He says, I would never wear those ugly shoes. Let me tell you, I live on a farm. I got some shoes I don't like a lot. Guess which work they get? I walk in the manure and all that kind of stuff with them because I don't care if I ruin them. If I were probably going to worry about getting them ruined, I'd probably pick that pair, those ugly shoes. Just number one. That's a fact point. Number two, Let's just walk through here. He does my favorite thing. We have it on T-shirts and mugs, chaff and redirect, and in a beautiful way. He just starts to spew information that has no value at all until he gets to redirect. And once he gets to that redirect, then he starts to preach that pattern. He's all out of, altogether away from the question. I would have leaned over and said, just answer the question, because he avoids it like all hell. And then when he says, did you ever own any? I think more than socializing, he's trying to humanize himself by saying, those are ugly shoes, and. He breaks eye contact to conjecture. This is when it looks like a transderivational. In this case, Chase, I think it's more profound than that. He breaks over to conjecture again that we saw earlier, and then he goes back, and the first time we see a visual eye accessing cue is a hard-coded one. I got 40 pairs of shoes. He's thinking about all those shoes. You can't miss it. So he's giving away now some eye movement. And we're getting a good baseline on how his eyes work. I think that's a powerful one. There's no defense at all to this. I have written down in my notes, he's running like the Hertz commercial, just running through the airport, knocking stuff out of the way, not paying a bit of attention, just moving on. And then finally, he gets to that last visual. He does a redirect to get away from it one more time. And his face does something totally out of baseline at the very end. Go back and watch it again. Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. That not even if some of his shoes are in European sizes, would you have 10 to 13. So there's something up there. So there's something, he's working against physicality in that, and that doesn't ring quite true to us. Then he tries to work against society in a bit of a too heavily protested way with this idea of Marley or Magley. If he didn't really care about the brand and he wouldn't care. He'd just follow the pronunciation of whoever pronounced it first. It would make no difference to him. But clearly it does make a difference to him. Either that he thinks it's pronounced Magley, which you're right, Scott. People would have said, you're getting it wrong, mate. You got to look cool. It's actually Marley. So look, this is out of a social characteristic here. And you might go, yeah, but I mean, he's a social outsider. He's there's only one OJ. No, there's only one Bruno Marley as well. And what brands do is they literally get a hot iron on the skin of people and they embed a symbol into them, a motif and a word that people cannot get out of their skin, out of their mind. And so you're trying to suggest, well, here's a guy who doesn't care about shoe brands. No, you're in a period of time where somebody like him and the world in general absolutely cared and still care about those things because the businesses have put billions and billions of dollars into making us care about this. He is not so much of an outsider that he wouldn't care about this. So look, did you have any? Doesn't answer the question, and he creates circumstances as to why he wouldn't care about it. And then to your point, Chase, which you'll go on about later on, he socializes the idea of most men wouldn't know what brand of shoe they're on. So that suggests to me, if I come back at him and go, yeah, but OJ, I totally know the brand of shoe that I've got on right now, and I know every brand of shoe, that he's able to go, well, Mark, that's because you're not a man. You're not a real man. So he's put me in a corner that says, I can't come back. If I'm a real man, I can't question that. That's a super clever maneuver. That's a great social maneuver that means I'm at risk. My maleness is at risk by even questioning that.
Size 12 Bruno Marley shoe prints found at the crime scene. What size shoes do you wear, OJ?
Well,
coincidence?
If you go into my closet, you'll see from 10.5 to 13s. They focused on 12s.
It's coincidence. I understand.
Well, it's a coincidence, but let me ask you this, and let me ask the public this. The FBI did an exhaustive search about Bruno Magley shoes. They said it was a rare shoe. They went to every outlet that sold Bruno Magley shoes. Not one person said they ever sold me these Bruno Magley shoes. Now, they said this is a very, the most exhaustive investigation of all time right? No, I was the most exhaustively investigated person of all time. The case wasn't who bought Bruno Magli shoes. Did the FBI tell us who in L.A. might have purchased Bruno Magli shoes? If they did, we don't know about that.
Did you ever have any?
First of all, I would have never worn those ugly shoes. You know, I can't tell you the name of the shoes I have on now. I think with most men, unless they're tennis shoes, you know, Nike, you know, some make of a tennis shoe, you know the name of your tennis shoe. I can't tell you the name of any. I may have upwards of 40 pairs of shoes upstairs. I couldn't tell you the name of the shoes.
So you don't know if you ever owned a pair of those shoes?
I don't know. I've never walked into a shoe store and asked for a named pair of shoes ever in my life.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.